You ever think about how that package, just shows up at your door?
Or how the supermarket shelves are always somehow stocked.
Exactly. We kind of take it for granted in our hyper-connected world.
We really do.
So today we're doing a deep dive into something pretty fascinating, the often hidden history of logistics and supply chain management.
Yeah, figuring out how moving stuff around went from, well, pretty basic actions.
To these incredibly complex global systems we all rely on. Our mission here is to kind of unpack that evolution.
Give you the essential insights quickly.
And we're drawing on a fair bit of material here, historical documents, strategic analyses, that kind of thing.
Good sources, yeah.
So where do we even begin? You mentioned battlefields.
Yeah, to really get modern logistics, you kind of have to start there. I mean, sure, very early wars didn't need massive organization for materials.
They just lived off the land, sort of.
Pretty much, but the idea of supplying armies goes way back. Think about Caesar's campaigns in Gaul.
Ah, okay. His legions needed reliable supplies.
Absolutely. They were
Okay.
only as good as their supply lines, fundamentally.
So armies foraged for ages. But when did it become like a formal strategy, a real discipline?
Well, the big shift starts around the 17th century. You've got figures like Le Tellier and Louvois in France.
What did they do differently?
They didn't just move goods, they engineered a whole system for military support.
A system? How so?
Things like standardized supplies, dedicated transport fleets, vehicles, horses, a permanent setup,
Okay, more organized.
and define standards for those supplies, proper contracts with suppliers, and crucially, a professional corps, the intendants or quartermasters, to actually manage it all.
Wow, so they basically wrote the first modern logistics playbook.
You could definitely say that. It laid the groundwork.
It's pretty amazing how war, from Caesar right up to something like D-Day, forced this kind of ruthless efficiency that underpins everything today. Your Amazon order, global manufacturing.
War has always been a huge driver. The Napoleonic campaigns in the 19th century, 1870, World War I, they all pushed the boundaries.
But you mentioned a real leap.
Right. The big one, the quantum leap, was World War II.
Okay, let's talk about that. D-Day, June 1944. That just sounds impossibly huge from a logistics perspective.
It was an absolutely unprecedented organizational challenge.
What kind of breakthroughs did they make? What changed?
So many things. Really sophisticated transport management, for one. Brand new designs for boats, planes, vehicles, tailored for the job.
And getting supplies to the troops.
Crucial point. Huge innovation in packaging. We're talking pallets, containers, things we still use. Even parachutes for targeted airdrops.
Pallets and containers came out of WWII.
Their widespread systematic use really took off then,
Yeah.
yeah. Plus things like mass-produced package rations and even temporary pop-up infrastructure.
It wasn't just moving stuff, it was building a whole support ecosystem, like right there on the beaches.
Exactly. On the fly, under incredible pressure.
That scale is just staggering. So how did this military know-how, born from total war, make its way into the commercial world?
Okay, so that transition involves what you might call scholarly logistics. This is where math really enters the picture.
Math. How does math connect to moving boxes?
Well, logistic problems, where to put a warehouse, how many trucks you need, the best route, they're naturally suited to mathematical modeling. Optimization problems.
Ah, okay. Finding the best way mathematically.
Precisely. And the first big application of this thinking was something called operational research, or RO. It really emerged during WWII,
What did that involve?
using fields like decision theory, mathematical programming, graph theory, essentially advanced math to solve very practical, very complex problems.
And that continued after the war.
Oh, yeah. The first sort of grand logistics algorithm came out in 1947. Then its first commercial use was in 1956. That really marks the start of logistics as a science.
Solving what kind of commercial problems?
Things like, where's the optimal place to build our new warehouses? When should we replace our delivery trucks? How do we design the most efficient distribution network overall?
Makes sense. Using data and math, not just guesswork.
Exactly. And that scientific approach was crucial for the next big phase,
Yeah.
the rise of commercial logistics, especially in large-scale distribution. Think supermarkets, like Carrefour.
Right. Getting goods onto shelves efficiently. And we started seeing companies specializing in logistics too, right? The PLs.
Yeah, the evolution of providers. First-party logistics, 1PL, was basically just transport. You hire a truck.
Simple enough.
Then 2PL added storage, transport, and warehousing.
Okay.
Then the big step to 3PL, third-party logistics.
Mhm.
That's where companies started outsourcing the whole package. transport, storage, and order preparation.
letting experts handle it.
Right. And it didn't stop there. You got 4PL, fourth-party logistics. That's like a company managing a whole network of different logistics providers for a client.
Well, like a meta-logistics company.
Kind of. And now we even talk about 5PL, which brings in high-level automation and AI to manage and optimize those complex networks,
Okay.
pushing towards, self-optimizing global systems.
That's a massive journey from just hiring a truck.
Yeah.
And the whole idea of the supply chain changed, too.
Absolutely. Back in the 60s, it was very fragmented.
Yeah.
Taylorism, task specialization. Logistics was just one siloed function.
Right.
By the 80s, you started seeing more integration. Think Toyota's just-in-time system, minimizing inventory, tightly coordinating upstream and downstream, and early MRP systems, material requirements planning.
Connecting the pieces more.
Exactly. Then by around 2000, you arrive at this truly global transversal supply chain concept. Everything integrated, often through big software systems like ERP enterprise resource planning.
Connecting all the different business functions.
Yeah, finance, manufacturing, logistics, sales, all talking to each other.
And this all fuels globalization, naturally, leading to huge international logistics players we know today.
For sure. Companies like UPS, DHL, FedEx, XPO Logistics, they became global giants managing these flows.
But it wasn't just the logistics companies growing, right?
No, you also saw the rise of what some call transactional companies. Think Nike, Benetton, IKEA.
What makes them transactional?
They might not own all their factories or trucks. Instead, they masterfully manage these incredibly complex global networks of suppliers, manufacturers, and logistics providers.
It's about managing the information and the relationships.
Precisely. Take Benetton. They rely heavily on sophisticated IT, like electronic data interchange, EDI, to connect thousands of boutiques, millions of customers, hundreds of subcontractors seamlessly.
That's the nervous system of the modern supply chain. So looking forward, what are the big trends?
Well, it's still evolving fast. We'll definitely see continued development of these sophisticated supply chain strategies, more international trade despite recent bumps.
And more consolidation, bigger logistics companies.
Likely, yes. Concentration in the transport and logistics industries. And technology, of course, advanced IT, telecommunications, AI, real-time tracking, predictive analytics. That's all accelerating.
What about things like returns or e-commerce?
Huge factors. Reverse logistics, handling returns, recycling is becoming much more important. And obviously, the boom in e-commerce and home delivery continues to reshape everything. Plus, more cooperation between companies.
It all points towards an even more integrated, truly global supply chain.
That seems to be the direction. So wrapping this up, what does it all mean for you listening?
Well, it means that logistics, even though you might not see it day to day, is basically the invisible engine running modern life and commerce.
Yeah, it's come a long, long way from just supplying Roman legions. It's now this incredibly sophisticated, data-driven global system.
But as these supply chains get more complex, more interconnected, maybe they also get more fragile, more vulnerable.
That's a critical point. And understanding this history isn't just, interesting trivia.
It feels crucial for understanding the risks and opportunities ahead. Which makes you wonder, what's the next big turning point going to be? What could reshape logistics as dramatically as WBI did? Something to think about.